if my gas bagging is too much as well, I'm a lot more specific on blog posts. Still a bit lengthy, but you can just click in the link. That's what I've seen the YouTubers do, in the link, and read the blog post. All right, we're recording. Oh my gosh, finally. Guys, next time you see me, I hope you can hear me. I haven't done any testing. Next time you see me, this is all going to look different. This is our storage room, our dumping ground, and we have Gab's sister coming to visit. So this isn't really how I live. It is right now. I have like 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. Gab's taken Sol, and so I just need to get this YouTube out. I just need to start my YouTube because I've been talking about it for years. And what has stopped me is the perfectionist thing, like I don't have the right backdrop, I don't have the right camera, I don't have the right content. What am I going to teach? You know what? We're learning, and I don't know where this channel is going to go exactly, but I know 5 years from now, I will have a lot to teach. Right now, we're at the learning phase. We're going through, a bit of a time in our life, and I am inspired to just start this channel. So here I am. I'm Ali. Gabrielle's other half. Am I better? No. There's no better. I'll have to cut a lot of this because I'm just going to start talking. But today's video is about, I've been here, far out, there's my cello. I hate it when people can hear me talking. It's so embarrassing, like talking to myself. Anyway, I'm just going to push forward because I have to do this. Okay, can you see the resolve? So this video today, I have been living in Romania, Eastern Europe, for 3 years come September. And there are so many differences from where I am from, a beach city sort of town on the east coast of Australia, Sydney, Australia, Manly Beach to be specific. And my friends and family are always curious what on earth it is. Oh my God, it's so hard to do a YouTube video. Like you're just questioning yourself. Anyway, let me get back to it. Look, I'm going to persevere with this. In a few years, I'm going to laugh at this video. There's actually a content creator I really like called Melanie Murphy. She's so normal and I enjoy watching her, and she's, she just talks. So here I am. Let me start again. My friends and family are always very curious what on earth Romania is like. And it's not like where I am. I'm in a village. It's not a tiny village. Dragășani is the municipality? But it's called Cretin. And so I think there's 3,000 people in this little community, but then there's other communities dotted around. But the village, the countryside Romania, they call it countryside. I call this a village because countryside to me is a lot more outback and a lot more open space and less people. That's kind of how it is where I'm from. But here, yeah, the village, it's wildly different to if I was comparing like Bucharest or Cluj. They're two major cities in Romania where, when people in cities, there's a lot more to connect over. They're all kind of doing the same things. We're all going to salsa classes. We're all, learning a language. We're all trying out the new restaurants, avant-garde, Michelin, blah, blah, blah. So here, compared to Bucharest or Cluj, is going to be different. So please don't take offense if, you're a Romanian and you think I'm saying some things that depict your nationality in a simple way, can I say? I don't know, because it's the same in Outback Australia. If I was comparing an Outback Australian experience to here, I think there's a lot of similarities, but I'm sort of comparing it to a cosmopolitan, Manly Beach, Sydney life. Okay, all right. So where am I going to start? I've got my computer here to sort of remember what I wrote. If my gas bagging is too much as well, I'm a lot more specific on blog posts. Still a bit lengthy, but you can just click in the link. That's what I've seen the YouTubers do, in the link, and read the blog post if you get sick of me. So the first thing I said I wanted to talk about was how they are, their friendliness. So Australians typically, oh my gosh, I mean, it sounds like I'm really saying amazing things about Australians, but no, the Australians can be the opposite of friendly too, like incredibly the opposite of friendly. You've seen all of that stuff through COVID, but in general, we're very sort of outgoing and immediately friendly, whereas Romanian people are more reserved and not quick to talk about their private affairs and what's going on in their life, which I actually think that's a nice thing. I suppose you've got to build trust, whereas Australians sort of blurt out their stories in hopes to gain trust. Does that make sense? And yeah, so that's a big difference. However, they for Romanians are friendly in the way that if you're a tourist here or just anyone really, they'll always invite you into their home and always have things to offer. They take guests very seriously. They don't see you, well, even if you are an inconvenience, they won't make you feel like one. They're very polite. That's something that is polite to the point of I don't think it's actually that good, because they put up with a lot from other people, and I think you could just say enough is enough and no thank you, but they don't. They just continue on. Okay, so that was the friendliness. Now, this is a huge one that I've noticed. So they don't hold grudges, but heck do they fight. Like, they aren't afraid to raise their voices. They aren't afraid to say what's wrong. They aren't afraid to say to the cashier or a family member, doesn't matter who you are, that this situation is wrong, or I think you're wrong, whether you're right or wrong. They're not afraid to say their piece. And obviously it doesn't always end well, but after they've said their piece, they can go back to that shop the next day, or they can call up their family member the next day and still carry on and still be okay. Whereas in Australia or Western countries, we hold grudges and we resent people, and we, the cold shoulder, or we don't talk to people for a few days, or someone's got to say sorry. It's not that way here at all. It's like, say what you need to say, but it doesn't mean we're not friends. And I actually love that. Gabrielle my husband, comes from a very rough, but not in the way, I don't mean rough in a sense of like, redneck rough. I mean like a very rough family, as in, how can I say it? Rough, tough. Can I say tough? Okay, rough was the wrong word. Tough family. And they are constantly sort of battling at each other. They have different opinions. Obviously, Gabrielle and I have come here with our, let's not use pesticides, let's not use anything toxic. And his mum is like, but then the food won't grow. And we're like, well, immediately it may not, but you've got to regenerate the garden first and then it will. So lots of differences like that. So there's lots of fighting like that, which did impact me a lot in the beginning. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't be around it. But now I just understand it is what it is. People say their piece and they move on. So that's that. Next, I think I will try and go in order of the blog post, so bear with one mo. I want to get one of those YouTube cameras where it's just like close, so you don't have to. Can you imagine if this wasn't recording? Oh my god. Okay, language was the next one. They speak Romanian here. It's a Latin-derived language, similar to Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and whatnot. And it's a romance language. So I always thought romance was, as it sounds, a romantic language, but it actually means it's derived from the Roman language. And yeah, they just group them all together as the romance languages. I have not learnt Romanian yet. I think it's obviously, there's an element of laziness involved, because I never really intended to live in Romania or ever learn Romanian. If I was in Spain, I think I would have been more, I've always learnt Spanish. I've always done little Spanish courses and classes and been interested in that, but I was never directly interested in Romanian. But obviously now, my husband, my child, my soon-to-be second child, will speak Romanian. So I need to learn, and I also have some dreams that I'd like to accomplish in this country, and I can't accomplish them if I don't speak the language. Obviously, Gabrielle's a little bit frustrated with me now too, that it's been 2.5, 3 years, and I haven't learnt it. Obviously, I've picked up things, which I'm quite impressed with, just because his mum and him and whoever else is here, they sort of speak the same things repetitively, so I've picked up those the basics, but as far as stringing a sentence together and being able to talk, I can't do that. I can understand a lot of words now, which I'm really happy about, but it's time to get the Duolingo out and learn. So that's the language. It's different. It sounds quite aggressive maybe when you first hear the language. My dad loves the sound of the Romanian language, so maybe it just depends who you are. They say it's very difficult to learn. I think I now have an advantage because I've been here listening to it for 3 years. I think maybe if you just learn the language off the bat, it's difficult. But if you've been here for 3 years, listening to the sounds and the phrases and, you know, the annotations and everything like that, it's going to be easier. Next. Frequency and energy. This is, you know, an Alex title. So, you know, the world is made up of matter, vibrations, energies. And is that soul? I might have to continue this later. And when I'm okay with it now, but when I first arrived, I noticed there was a dense energy in this country in general, not just this village, just in the country. And the way I compare it is in Australia, I just feel light. I don't know whether it's actually because I can feel an energetic, you know, vibration going on, or because I'm happier at home, or because I'm adjusting here. But the people do seem to be heavier, and I kind of, not by weight, you know, I just mean energy, but I kind of put it down towards their history, and their culture, and their seriousness. You know, they are a happy, talkative type of people, but they're also very serious. And I think in the West, we're very happily, Gab calls it happy, bubbly, wobbly, where we sort of fake happiness a lot of the time. But I kind of like that. Like, you know, you put on a smile, you put on a happy face, you ask people how they are, even if you're not feeling the best, because it does generate a lighter energy. But here, people don't, you know, do that. I don't know what's better. You know, I'm analysing it all. But there is just more of a heaviness here. This is a generalisation. Please don't be offended if you're Romanian and you know, you think I'm bagging on the country. I'm not. It's just, it feels different. What can I say? Ow. Sitting on it now. All right. Oh, okay. This is my favourite one. Cuisine. Oh my gosh, Romania. Amazing. Like, I actually think, like, all the foods that I used to love back home. So Australia's cuisine it's mixed because we're a very multicultural nation. We're a very young nation. Obviously, we're sort of derived from UK. We're convicts of the UK. So basically all of our cuisine is influenced by Asia and all the surrounding areas. And we do have beautiful food, but you can't really say it's ours. You know, it's like Asian influenced. And oh gosh, I mean, I love that too. I miss it dearly. But here, so also, we've got little, in Australia we eat like Mexican, Italian, Greek, but I've never had Romanian food in Australia. So some Romanian foods, the classic dishes that Marcella cooks all the time, is fasoli, which is, it's either a bean soup or mashed beans. I think there's specific names, so forgive me if I'm saying this wrong. Ciorba, which is a soup, but it's a chunky soup. In the West, we have lots of pureed soups. Sarmale, which is fermented cabbage rolls. So she ferments the whole cabbages, puts them in a huge tank, brings them out, and you peel back the layers of the cabbage and you stuff it with pork. She puts a bit of rice in too and seasonings. And then they eat a bit of fish because they have a lot of saint days, religious holidays, where you're not allowed to eat meat. Just everything is so flavoursome. They just, like, Marcella and Gab just get the seasoning to a T. And I have tasted a lot of other people's food and it's okay, but it's like Marcella and Gab really are good chefs. So the food is delicious and they have their staple dishes and they rotate through those. Okay, so I'm back to finish the other half. I'm going to speak a little bit softer, obviously, because Sol is now sleeping. So back to cuisine. They do have very heavy expectations around cuisine. Should I move closer? A breakfast will always be a very strong hot coffee, followed with, Romanians love bread, white bread. Unfortunately, it's not the healthy kind. But they have bread at every meal. But breakfast will be like tomatoes, cucumbers, cheese, oh, and meats. If they have, you know, some shunka. Shunka is like the pork fat. Is it the pork fat? Yeah, or the pork skin. It's like a mix. And then lunch is quite traditional. So they'll always start with a soup. They'll serve with a soup and then follow that with like a meat platter and some, I'm sitting on a nail, maybe a vasa salad, a cabbage salad, for example, or a tomato cucumber salad. And then dinner, because lunch has been such a huge affair, that can just be either leftovers or it can be an omelette with zakuska on bread. Zakuska is the most delicious vegetable spread made traditionally from fire roasted eggplants and capsicums out of there. It can be aubergine salad. It's a fire roasted aubergine salad with loads of onion, garlic, and a little bit of mayonnaise. It's just so good. Their food really is delicious. They have their staples, they rotate them, and they have expectations per meal as well. And if someone comes over, they will definitely subscribe to all of the expectations and serve them that way. As with all traditional food, it's just naturally nutritious. You know, they do so many soups made from bone broth filled with collagen, vitamins, minerals. The sarmale, as I mentioned, that's fermented cabbage. So, you know, in the West, everyone's like, eat the sauerkraut. Here, they eat the fermented cabbages at, you know, not every meal, but very, very frequently. The only thing that really lets them down is actually the modernization or the convenience culture, you know, whereby they eat, their main oil is sunflower oil, they eat a lot of sugar, and they add a lot of sugar to the jams, they make donuts, they make prăjituras like cakes, and they use white flour, refined white flour. So unfortunately, I think those three ingredients are where most of the health problems come from here, not from their traditional diet. Actually, before bread was introduced here, they used to eat, so it's called mamaliga or polenta. So it's basically just milled corn and cooked, and then you can bake it, so it's like a bread. But before corn, they were using millet. I researched that, and millet is a much more nutritious grain. It's gluten-free as well, but it's not generally covered in glyphosate, which is what a lot of the corn is covered in here. So yeah, in general, their traditional food is super nutritious. Another thing around cuisine, it's very traditional here. Gender roles, so the female will cook, she'll serve, and she'll clean up after, and the men tend to, I've seen them do the barbecue, but I don't know if it's expected, because I've seen Marcella do the barbecue a lot as well. Generally the men just sit and be served and drink tuica, which is their national or traditional alcohol. It's made from the fermented grapes after the wine season. You can do it, there's palinka as well. I believe that's made with fermented prunes. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but it's another alcohol. Super strong, but they love it. And they think of it as like a antiviral, antibiotic. They always joke when they have it, it's medicine, you know. So, yeah. Also, Romanians have the amazing culture, or the village side Romanians have the amazing culture of growing their own food. I think they must grow about 80% of their own food. The only things they don't generally grow is the wheat. Or they grow wheat for the animals, but not to eat. They don't make the sunflower oil, and they don't, you know, harvest sugar cane and make sugar. So they buy those three ingredients. They probably buy a few meats here and there if they don't want to, or if they've run out of their own meat. But in general, they will raise pigs, chickens, turkeys. Extras that we have are ducks, rabbits, and other extras other people have are like cows and bison, if you have the land. Goats is another one that a few people have. We have goats. And then in terms of vegetables, the essentials: onion, garlic, cabbage, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, aubergine, how do I say capsicums? And then fruit trees, they have the orchard. They've got like quinces, prunes, they're like plums, by the way, and apples. They're like the staples as well. Sorry, I've gone a bit like, I was a bit distracted because I've been with Sol, so not in the same zone as before, but bear with. Okay, the next topic, routine. So the routine of a village side Romanian is very different to the cosmopolitan person. They live by the seasons, definitely. So in the summer, they'll be up early, they'll have a siesta post lunch, and then they'll be working till, 9:30 at night, and then have dinner around 10 p.m. So it's definitely a seasonal life. And then in winter, they really hibernate a lot. And just eat all of the food they've preserved and gotten ready throughout the summer. They still obviously have things to do in winter because you've got to cut the firewood, you've got to warm your house, you've got to tend to the animals because your animals still need to be cared for over winter. But the hard work is done, and they really deserve the rest because they break their backs in summer. Okay, another difference between what I've felt, what I've noticed with Romania and Australia is the status thing. I'm sure it exists back home, but I'm not sure whether we're more down to earth in Australia or what it is. Humble? I don't know what it is, but here it's people are very attached to what you are. So obviously the Christian Orthodox Church is huge here. So if you're a priest, your status is probably, I don't know if you can go higher than a priest in this country. But then obviously the other occupations like doctors, lawyers, architects, the classic big earning fields that also take many years to study in, psychology for another one, for example, you have a very high status because of your title. And it doesn't matter if you're a nice person or not, like you'll still receive the status. Whereas I've noticed back home, people were very attached to image and looking fit and healthy, and you could be a doctor, but if you aren't looking the part of the Australian culture, if you're not looking healthy and vibrant, people won't respect you. So yeah, there's just a difference in what it takes to be someone. Do you know what I mean here? And I think it's quite judgmental a little bit, but I'm sure it exists back home as well. It's just something I've noticed here, that people are very attached to, degrees, education. I think Australia is quite a working class country, a lot of blue collar workers. So you can still receive great respect if you're a tradie, if you're a great hospitality entrepreneur, all these sorts of things. You don't have to have the doctor or the PhD, for example. Obviously, people are still impressed by people who, I'm not scratching my bum by the way, I've got a mosquito bite. People are still impressed by people who have worked hard and achieved things, but we don't look down on you if you haven't. Does that make sense? So, religion and patriarchy. So, as I mentioned before, gender roles are quite evident here. Luckily, I have a modern Romanian husband, but it still presents itself in our relationship from time to time. But again, I'm not exactly anti certain gender roles because I do believe that we are built differently and we have natural inclinations towards certain things in life. So I'm not completely against this, but when it's completely expected of you to act and behave a certain way because of your gender, that's where I kind of have the problem. Like Marcella here will be breaking her back, really working hard, getting all the food ready, cleaning dishes and whatnot, and people around will just be sat like scratching their bums and not contributing in other ways either to the family or to what's going on here. And for me, that's enough. That's where I'm like, whoa, I don't care if you're a boy, get up and watch those dishes. Like if you're not contributing in another way equal to Marcella or to myself, you can do something. So yeah, but I think here they kind of just accept it, or they get angry and bitter, and yeah. So that's something. But back to the religious thing, people are very attached to the Christian Orthodox Church. I think about 80% of Romanian people are religious. And I mean, because of that, there's a lot of tradition, there's a lot of superstitions, there's a lot of values and morals that people act out. And it's not a bad thing, and maybe they try and be a better population because of that. I don't know. But yeah, the patriarchy, it does impact my life a lot, just because I see my cellist struggling, and I'm like, well, you can do something about that. You can speak up and change it. You don't have to accept the hardships that you're enduring. But that's just me. Anyway, next point, developing country status. So Romania is classified as a developing country. And Gab and I definitely feel that at times. But at the same time, him and I are of the philosophy of back to the roots. Gab thinks he lost the wallet and my bank card. Okay, back to the developing country status. So yeah, Gab and I do feel the sludge of the developing country, the things that make it a developing country, but at the same time, we don't mind, because it means when our house isn't attached to the water line, or there isn't a water line or sewerage, so we have our own. Gab has installed our own toilet and compost toilet and everything out the back, and we have to go and walk and collect water. But neither of us mind, because we like the active lifestyle. We like knowing that our water is clean and we're getting it from a fresh spring, so it's alive. And then there's obviously other things. There's like power outages that happen regularly. We are connected to the grid at Marcella's. Yeah, but can I just finish my YouTube? But I'm trying to make it rich.
Say something about your husband. So, guys, I don't know if you can see, but recently I got diagnosticated with big eye on this one. Yeah, looks quite nice. You are unique in the world.
I didn't know how hard it was to make a YouTube. Yeah, so there are things, and I think rubbish is a huge problem here. They don't have really well organized garbage systems at all. So there's no good garbage collection. There's only been a garbage collection in our area since I arrived. So you can imagine there's lots of rubbish being dumped all around, and it's quite heartbreaking to see. I didn't think that was the case in Australia, but my best friend recently travelled through Australia, and she said in the Outback there's problems with rubbish too. So I'm guessing, it just depends on whether you're central, outskirts, and how well the councils and everything are organised. Another cool thing to mention is a lot of people in the village side work away and then send money back home. So it's very common for children to be raised by grandparents, and the mothers and fathers to go away working in Germany or Holland, for instance, picking fruits, vegetables, and then sending the money back home. The reason they send the money back home is because they're putting the money into the grandparents' house to renovate it, because they're going to live there one day. People here all live in one house, pretty much. It's rare that you don't have a mother-in-law with you or a father-in-law or both. So you'll be living with grandparents, you and your husband, and then your kids, and it will just keep going like that. So that's why people do give their parents money. Money is collective, it's together, and it's amazing because they're all working towards a common goal of making the house nicer. Obviously, this comes with hardships. People are going to fight, like I told you before. You're going to have fights because people have different visions, but that's why you have to get on with it and be okay the next day, because you're going to be living together. You've got to pick your battles, But yeah, the working away and sending money back home is very common here in the village. My neighbours, actually, the kids are being raised by the grandparents, and the lady Madalena is in, where is she now? She's in London, actually working and sending money back home. So it's very common. Superstitions. Romanians are very superstitious. They have a lot of beliefs and sayings. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's a very big part of their culture. As well, traditions. This country is so traditional. King Charles loves Romania for many reasons, but he loves that, well, let's not talk about King Charles. Who cares about King Charles? But the attraction of this country is that modernization is felt everywhere else in the world, but Romania still holds true to its traditions. And as much as I find some of them, I can't connect to them. I wasn't raised this way, so that's okay. But it's amazing to see, and it's like the people they're completely different because of them. And it adds so much character to the country. So in the blog, you can read some of the traditions that I have spoken about in the blog. I won't go into it here because I think this video is dragged on. And lastly, music. So music is a huge one. I've also linked a song in the blog post of my son's favorite Romanian song, but the music is wildly different as well. It's very folky, and the folk music here is super popular. Like all the radio stations play it. They call it the popular music. And obviously they still have like Western influence, and then Romanian people sort of singing Western type songs, but I would still say the most popular music here is the traditional Romanian folk music. It's very intense. I struggle, but I appreciate that it's their style, it's their culture, it's their everything. And it's interesting that, you know, my son has been raised here and he now likes the music naturally. You know, he dances to it. So even I now, 3 years on, I've started bobbing my head. So yeah, things have progressed here, can we say. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Read the blog post because I have definitely skimmed over a lot of things, you know, because of interruptions and whatnot. But I just wanted to get this YouTube out. I just wanted to start talking and let people know what life is like here. Would I recommend Romania to other people? Absolutely, to travel. Absolutely. Even to live. Cheap. I probably should have mentioned it's incredibly cheap here as well. But that being said, if you want to come and work here, that's very difficult because the pay is not great. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. Yeah, the Romanian culture is unique. It's passionate. It's intense. It's something to definitely come and witness in your lifetime. I haven't traveled much around Romania, so if I ever do, I will, you know, collect all of the you know, the good bits to share with you. But right now we've just kind of been staying put because we've got big projects happening here. But yeah, I do think there would be a lot to see in this country, a lot to offer. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I think I've blabbed on. I'm tired. You must be tired. Are you even here? I don't know. But until next time, the next post, I'm going to be talking more about motherhood. So if you're a mama or a papa, maybe you want to be here for that. Bye.